In the vast landscape of American success stories, few narratives illuminate the power of resilience, vision, and self-transformation as profoundly as the journey of Oprah Winfrey, a woman who rose from the harshest edges of poverty, instability, and trauma to become not only one of the most influential media figures in history, but a financial mogul whose empire spans television, publishing, film, philanthropy, branding, and strategic equity ownership. And to understand how she built this extraordinary trajectory, we must begin not with the glamour of the Oprah Winfrey Show or the billion-dollar valuations often attached to her name, but with the fragile beginnings of a young girl born in rural Mississippi in 1954, a place defined by segregation, limited opportunity, and a cultural landscape that rarely offered pathways for Black girls to imagine futures beyond survival. Yet even in these early years, Oprah displayed a remarkable spark, reciting Bible verses in church at 3 years old, reading before most children her age, and developing a relationship with language that would later become her greatest instrument of empowerment. Her childhood was not a steady ascent, but a turbulent sequence of uprootings, living with her grandmother, then her mother in Milwaukee, then her father in Nashville, all while enduring poverty, abuse, isolation, and the crushing emotional weight of circumstances designed to silence potential rather than nurture it. And yet this instability honed in her a set of emotional tools that would later become the foundation of her storytelling genius: empathy, intuition, psychological insight, and an ability to connect with human vulnerability in ways that transcended demographic boundaries. When she entered the world of media as a teenager, winning a local beauty pageant that led to a radio job, Oprah saw for the first time a path that allowed her to transform her voice into a vehicle for influence, and by the time she moved into television broadcasting, she had already begun distinguishing herself through a unique emotional presence that resonated deeply with audiences. Her breakthrough came not from technical perfection, but from authenticity, a quality rare in an era dominated by polished anchors and rigid broadcast formats. And when she was chosen to host AM Chicago in 1984, she transformed the show into a ratings powerhouse within months, setting the stage for the launch of The Oprah Winfrey Show in 1986, a program that would redefine daytime television, expand the emotional vocabulary of mainstream media, and build the financial engine that powered her ascent into mogul status. Unlike many television personalities who remained employees of large networks, Oprah made the strategic decision early on to own her show through her production company, Harpo Productions. A pivotal move that shifted economic power into her own hands, allowing her to capture profits from syndication, international distribution, book and film adaptations, studio ownership, and eventually, digital extensions of her content. A choice that turned her from a high-paid host into a true entrepreneur, controlling an entire media ecosystem. Through Harpo, she produced films, launched magazines, nurtured new talent, and built a content infrastructure that survived long after the talk show era began to fade, proving that her business acumen was not dependent on a single format, but on her ability to anticipate cultural currents and translate them into scalable enterprises. One of the most transformative of these ventures was the Oprah's Book Club phenomenon, which demonstrated her unparalleled capacity to shape public behavior and consumer markets by turning relatively obscure titles into instant bestsellers, a display of economic influence so powerful that publishers began adjusting their strategies around the possibility of an Oprah effect, revealing that her empire was not merely built on emotional connection, but on a rare ability to convert trust into measurable purchasing power. This trust, cultivated over decades, became the cornerstone of her later financial triumphs, particularly her strategic investments, such as her stake in Weight Watchers in 2015, which surged in value after her endorsement, and her founding partnership with Apple for original media content, ventures that showcased her evolution from media personality to sophisticated investor operating at the intersection of branding, technology, and cultural impact. Yet Oprah's ascent to billionaire status was not the result of a single windfall, but of a mosaic of carefully constructed revenue streams. Harpo Studios, OWN, The Oprah Winfrey Network, O Magazine, film production, syndicated distribution rights, licensing, equity partnerships, all woven together through her guiding philosophy that wealth is not merely accumulated, but architected through ownership, vision, and the ability to anticipate where cultural energy will shift next. Her role as a philanthropist further deepened her global imprint, from founding the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa to funding scholarships, disaster relief efforts, and mentorship programs, initiatives that reflect her belief that wealth is most powerful when used as a force for education, opportunity, and generational uplift. As we examine the deeper layers of her journey, we begin to see that Oprah's financial empire is inseparable from her emotional intelligence, her capacity to transform pain into purpose, and her lifelong commitment to understanding the human condition. And it is precisely this blend of vulnerability and strategic clarity that allowed her to create media environments where people felt seen, heard, and understood, driving viewership, loyalty, and influence to levels unmatched in television history. What distinguishes Oprah from other media tycoons is not merely scale, but adaptability. Her ability to transition from broadcast to cable, from print to streaming, from personality-driven content to equity-driven partnerships, a pattern that reveals a sophisticated understanding of how attention, trust, and technology intersect across eras, especially as the media landscape fragmented and power shifted away from traditional networks. Through all these transformations, Oprah remained the gravitational center of her empire, leveraging her personal brand not as a static icon, but as a dynamic bridge between authenticity and aspiration, inspiring millions while continuously expanding her reach into new economic territories. And as we trace the arc of her life from the dirt roads of Kosciuszko, Mississippi to global influence, we recognize that her story is not merely a tale of fame or wealth, but a chronicle of psychological mastery, strategic foresight, and the refusal to allow circumstances to dictate destiny. A story whose next chapter begins to reveal itself even more clearly as we explore how her philosophy of intention, self-reinvention, and emotional literacy shaped not only her financial strategies but the cultural influence that continues to define her legacy, particularly as we consider how each turning point in her life pushed her to rethink what was possible, to claim ownership over her narrative, and to build an empire that stands as one of the most compelling demonstrations of how personal transformation can evolve into a force capable of reshaping industries, influencing culture, and redefining what personal power can achieve when aligned with purpose, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. And as we follow Oprah into the later stages of her career, we see how her journey evolves from personal ascent into strategic legacy building, a phase where she shifts from being merely the face of her empire to becoming its architect, mentor, and visionary guide in ways that ensure her impact will endure far beyond her active years in front of the camera. This phase becomes most evident in her creation of OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, a venture that many initially doubted as the cable landscape grew crowded and traditional television faced the looming threat of digital disruption. Yet Oprah approached OWN with the same resilience she brought to earlier challenges, transforming it from a struggling network into a platform for purpose-driven storytelling that amplifies voices, narratives, and cultural conversations often overlooked by mainstream media, proving once again that her true strength lies not in chasing trends, but in shaping the emotional and intellectual climate of her audience. At the same time, her partnership with Apple through Apple TV Plus signaled a new chapter in her empire's evolution, reflecting her ability to recognize that the future of media lives in global platforms capable of reaching audiences far beyond the geographical limits of traditional broadcasting. And this collaboration exemplifies her skill in aligning herself with emerging power centers in technology to ensure her influence remains not only relevant, but expansive in an age defined by streaming and digital ecosystems. Beyond media, Oprah's financial strength increasingly stems from strategic equity stakes rather than salary-driven income, a shift that demonstrates her deep understanding of ownership as the engine of generational wealth. And her involvement with Weight Watchers WW exemplifies this approach. Her investment and public engagement not only revitalized the company's brand, but also catapulted its market value, showcasing her rare ability to merge authenticity, personal narrative, and business strategy into an integrated force that moves consumer behavior at scale. This pattern appears again in her product partnerships, philanthropic initiatives, and curated endorsements, each chosen not for quick profit, but for alignment with her values of empowerment, wellness, education, and emotional literacy, revealing that her empire is constructed not on opportunism, but on coherence, trust, and cultural intuition developed over decades of listening to the stories of others and recognizing the universal themes that bind human experience. As we trace her philanthropic journey, particularly her monumental efforts in education, most notably the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, we see how she extends her philosophy of personal transformation into global impact, creating institutions designed to elevate young women into positions of influence and societal contribution, proving that her financial empire is inseparable from her belief in giving others the tools to rewrite their own narratives, just as she rewrote hers. Yet what makes Oprah's story especially compelling is the dichotomy she embodies. A woman shaped by trauma who built an empire on healing. Someone denied stability who became a global source of emotional grounding. A figure underestimated by society who turned vulnerability into strength and strength into influence, crafting a model of success that does not rely on conformity, but on embracing one's full, imperfect humanity. This authenticity, so rare in both entertainment and business, became the foundation upon which every branch of her empire stands. Harpo Productions as an engine of creative ownership, OWN as a platform for storytelling, O Magazine as a gateway to curated self-reflection, equity partnerships as pillars of long-term wealth, and her ongoing influence across digital media as a testament to the timelessness of her message. As she continues to evolve in the public sphere, Oprah has transitioned into a role that blends sage-like wisdom with modern relevance, offering commentary on leadership, mental wellness, financial empowerment, and personal growth. And as she mentors rising voices and invests in new generations of creators, her empire begins to resemble not just a collection of companies, but a legacy-driven ecosystem designed to empower, educate, and inspire far beyond her lifetime. The ultimate lesson emerging from Oprah's journey is that financial power is most transformative when rooted in emotional clarity, authenticity, and a willingness to confront painful truths without surrendering to them. And her life demonstrates that greatness is not born from perfect circumstances, but from the disciplined alchemy of turning hardship into wisdom, wisdom into influence, and influence into generational impact. In viewing her story through this lens, we come to understand that Oprah Winfrey's rise is not merely a personal triumph, but a blueprint for how individuals can harness their inner narratives to build empires grounded in purpose, resilience, and the profound human desire to uplift others, leaving us with a legacy that continues to illuminate the path for dreamers, strivers, and anyone who seeks to transform adversity into power, reminding us that the true measure of a financial mogul is not the scale of their wealth, but the depth of their influence on the world and the enduring capacity of their work to shape the lives of millions.